Hi, my name is George Anderson with REI Branded Home Buyer. We are doing the land development series today, and I wanted to talk to you about the 9 steps that you need to know when you take your raw land to buildable lots. This is a very resource intensive process. If you need to know any more about our company, REI Branded Home Buyer, you can go to www.reibrandedhomebuyer.com. Go ahead and give us a little shout out in our reviews and our comments. But let's just jump right into it. You know, when you're going to convert raw land into construction buildable lots, you're going to go through a series of steps with the city that they are going to approve the plat for your property. I did a 14 lot subdivision last year, almost 2 years now. And we took farmland here in Spokane Valley, actually, north of Trent. We took the raw land and we started rough grading it. We put on all the wet and dry utilities. We put in streets, signs, all this stuff. But in order to get to even putting blades in the dirt to start moving dirt, you need to get approval from the city, especially if you were going to take down a certain amount of trees. You need to get permits for all of this stuff. You need to make sure that you have the right people in place also. Otherwise, you're going to have a bad time. The city has fined people, has put red tape on projects before. I've seen where people actually started opening up streets and digging into the sewer and tapping into the sewer without approval with the city. And this is a big no-no, because if this happens, you're going to run into traffic issues with fire trucks, school buses, ambulances. Any type of delivery truck is going to have an issue also. So you need to get approvals from the city to even close down those streets to tap into these projects. So we're going to go over step 1. And actually, let's go over all 9 steps, and then we can go through them one by one. First step is rough grading. Then you're going to have dry utilities, wet utilities, street improvements. You're going to do finish grading, fencing, walls, flat work, and then you're going to do the landscaping. We're going to go through each one of these in detail, one by one. I hope that you all really enjoy this content. Please subscribe and share. So we're going to go over step 1. It's rough grading, and I'm going to point up right up here. I'll put a video or a picture of rough grading up here, where what they do is they are shaping the land, because not all land is level. You're going to have some slopes and stuff like that. You're going to be leveling the ground to create specific slopes. You're also going to provide drainage for the area. The city requires us to really take care of all of the rainwater on the property now, and we're trying to not have all of this water go into the waters of the state. And we've seen a lot of fines come from environmental organizations with the state when it comes to this kind of stuff. And it really will make your site a nonprofit site if the city gets wind or the state gets wind that there is water coming from your property, or dirt or mud or whatever it is, silt, going into the waters of the state and dirtying up that water supply. They're not going to be happy at all. So during this process, before you even put blades in the ground, you need to get approval from the city for the rough grading, but you also need to get permits to take off a certain amount of trees on your property. You need to make sure that you have a CECL, and I'll go over in detail with that a little bit later on. But rough grading is your first step. Step 2 is the wet utilities. That's when you bring all the sewer, water, and you get storm drains onto your property. So like I said, you want to be able to manage all the water on your property with storm drains, or have drainage areas or ditches. So this is step 2. Step 3 is dry utilities, and this would require the electrical, the communications, and the gas lines. I'll have a picture right up here too. That Avista will come through and put their gas and their electric in, but they won't dig the ditches for you here in Spokane. You're going to have to dig your own ditches. Make sure that they have a certain sand that goes underneath the gas pipes, and it's a very expensive sand. So you'll have your contractors go through and dig all the ditches for the electrical and the gas. And once that's complete, Avista will come through and put the gas lines in and the electrical in. And then you have to talk to telecommunications company that will bring in whatever it is, fiber optic or whatever they decide to put in at the time. Step 4 is the street improvements. Street improvements are the curbs, the gutters, the asphalt, and the street signs. Now, when you do all this stuff, you need to have engineers that test the soil compaction, and we have another video of that coming out also. This is to make sure that you have no dips in the roadway or maybe potholes that show up later on down the road. And the city is going to require all of these steps to be tested with these engineers the entire time. Because what you're going to do at the very end of your project is you're going to gift all of this to the city. You're going to gift them the water, the sewer, but they're going to maintain all of this stuff for you. So the streets and the sewer and the water, the city is going to maintain after that. 90% of development is actually put in by private citizens. It's not really put in by the cities or the state. They maintain the stuff, but they don't put it in themselves. So when you put it in, you're actually going to gift all of that to the city, and the city is going to require a package. It's called a certification package at the very end of your project to make sure that all the tests were completed, and they're going to go through that before they even approve your plat. So step 5 are walls like CMU, like concrete masonry, they're common walls that are just privacy walls and stuff like that. Some are used to hold back some dirt, not really big. And then MSE would be mechanically stabilized earth, and this will hold back large amounts of earth. And what they look like an eyesore at first, but they are made so that overgrowth and trees and ground cover can cover them over time. So they will be covered up over time if they are planted correctly during the landscape phase. They're like retaining walls and structures and stuff like that. So when you're building up next to a hillside, you don't have mudslides or anything like come onto your property. Step 6 is your fencing. So you have vinyl, you have tube steel, you have view walls like glass, so you could see off into the distance, have a good view, or you have wood privacy fence. So those are the types of fencing that you're going to use in your development. Most of developments now these days are using vinyl because they look pretty nice and they do last for a very long time. We put a vinyl white fence up for the neighbor so that he didn't have to look at the new incoming houses that were being built onto the property. Also, he raised cows, and we didn't want people seeing the cows every single day. You have finish grade, which is a final elevation. They are final shaping of the ground for the houses, and they'll usually remove or bring in an inch or two for the existing grade so that when they compact it, the house is level. And we see a lot of people rushing this stage. There is a very huge issue when it comes to this stage because you want to make sure the house is level. Stage 8 is the flat work. That's the concrete work, the driveways, the porches, the patios, the walkways, and the concrete stoops that go into the houses. We did our development and we didn't require the driveways to be put in because we didn't know where the house grade was going to be. A lot of people really messed this step up, and what we actually negotiated with the builder was that we would put those in when the house was built so that the house and the driveway were put at the correct level. So you can actually negotiate that with the builder, and you can tell the city, hey, the driveways are not going to go in right now. They're going to go in when the builder puts them in, because a lot of these driveways get ripped out when the final grade is not at an acceptable height. So sometimes the driveway will be above where the house is really going to be or below. So you want that to be done at the same time, right? You want the house and the driveway to come off at the right area. Sidewalks and curbing and stuff like that, you need to have all that done before the city even approves your plat. Step 9 is landscape. And this is like planting the shrubs, the trees, the ground cover, your irrigation, any of the amenities like maybe playgrounds or park benches. So if you have parks in your area, this is for larger builders. The city's going to require you to have parks and benches in certain areas and maybe a playground, especially when there's a lot of houses going in. We have one of these developments over here, Half Moon Park is what it's called, and the builder put that in. It looks really nice. A lot of people do hang out there, so this is very much required during the building process. If you're doing a smaller development, you really don't need a playground or anything like that. Yes, if you have some extra room, please put that in. It'd be nice, but it's not required for certain size developments. And what we're going to do in the next few videos is we're going to go into each one of these steps one by one, and we're going to deep dive into this because each step requires a lot of time. It's not like this 12-minute video where you're going to get it done in 12 minutes. You're going to go through the permit and processing stages and before you even start removing dirt. You're going to get a bunch of people in the same room in the city. You're going to get your permits. Even the permitting process took a couple months for us to even get the raw land to even start being moved. Also, you got to plan out when it comes to the seasons. You don't want to start moving dirt right before you go into the winter because then you have a lot of water runoff into the street, dirt, mud, and you're going to have a lot of neighbors complaining during that time. Remember, this is a huge project. You're going to need a lot of people there to plan this out, and these stages are very important inside your platting process. So if you want to sell your land here in Spokane or Washington, and it's in a city area, excuse my dogs in the background, if you want to work with a builder that knows what they're doing or a developer that knows what they're doing, please go to www.reibrandedhomebuyer.com. Check us out, and we'll actually give you all the information that's needed to do all these steps, or we can buy your land in Spokane and we'll do it ourselves. Again, very large and lengthy process, but we're here to help. Please give us a call also at 509-769-3439. Appreciate you all being here. I'm glad that I could at least break this process down over time. So we'll do a 9-step series after this to break down each and every single step. All right? I hope you all have a blessed day. I'm George Anderson with REI Branded Home Buyer. Again, sorry about the dogs in the background. They like to bark at dragons and mailmen. So, all right, you have a blessed day. Bye-bye.